Hi Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your January 16th to the 31st, 2022 reading for you. Now I ask if this reading resonates with you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will all be listed and linked in the description box below. Now before we begin this reading, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds, letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. So let's see what the tarot has to say. Capricorn, January 16th to the 31st, 2022, Capricorn. Angels and spirit guides show me clearly. 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 So at the bottom is our rooted self. The left-hand side is our inner self. The middle, our heart, our emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. So let's see what the cards have to say. We have the Chariot at our root, and we have the Death card at our root. So we have Cancer energy and we have Scorpio energy. If we have Cancer or Scorpio within our natal chart, that comes through as the root form of our personality during this time. This also amplifies the moon within our lives during this time because Cancer is ruled by the moon and by Pluto energy because Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. Then we have our inner selves, the Queen of Cups, water sign energy, Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer, amplifying both the water sign energies here at our root, Cancer and Scorpio. We then have the Knight of Wands, fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. If we are born on the cusp with Sagittarius, this part of our personality is going to come out very profoundly during this time. Then we have the Five of Wands at our heart, and we have the Page of Swords. The Page of Swords is air sign energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. If we're born on the cusp with Aquarius, this part of our personality will be coming out. There's some sort of fighting about something our heart and our mind knows that we kind of have to agree on during this time, and we have to step forward in. So that's going to be interesting. We have the Nine of Pentacles, which is beautiful, and we have the Ten of Swords. This is the darkness before the dawn. So there's some sort of transformation that is going on here, and we're really going to feel it, especially emotionally, which can make us rather reactive to things. So just be mindful of that. Now let's look at the energy we have to be mindful of during this time. Angels and spirit guides show me clearly. We have the Lord, which is Aries energy. We have to be mindful of being a little bit too rigid. And Capricorn, we have that to be mindful of anyway. That's part of our personality. We can kind of fall back on rules and routine, and these are going to be the things that kind of get us through and get us to the place that we want to be. This is also going to be a sense of somebody saying, you know, I'm right, you're wrong, you will listen to me. We're going to have a bit of rebellion against authority figures or against saying this is the way it has to be. We want to expand. We want to be curious. We want to kind of break down barriers during this time. We also want to know ourselves more and more. We don't want to be constrained or restrained. We really want to be able to see and become, and again, break down barriers and step forward in a way that is open, in a way that is honest for us. It brings us to our chakra energy. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. This is listening. This is the throat chakra. And the throat chakra, which I love, is telling us to listen. So often, we think the throat chakra is all about talking, but there is such profound power in listening, in connecting, in gaining this understanding. Excuse me. That we're going to find ourselves, stepping back a little bit and saying, okay, let me really feel what's being said here, or let me really listen to what the person is bringing to the table. And why Spirit says first, let me feel, because when we're listening, we can feel the vibration of the speech that a person is using, right? We can really start to connect with who they are and what they're bringing to the table, their body language, themselves as an individual. When we start to listen, we start to see. And that can be something that's a little bit overwhelming for us. We're so used to, in this world, being, the louder, the better. I'm going to get what I want. I'm going to push myself forward type of thing. Now we're listening. And as we're listening, we're connecting. And that is going to change the game for us so profoundly, Capricorn, because not only does listening change the game, but when you have a Capricorn who is listening, when you have a person who's a natural problem solver, who is a natural, putting the pieces together, figuring things out type of person, when they listen, when they start to really come fully focused to the table, well, that becomes an unstoppable time. And for us, this can be an unstoppable time. So this is going to be quite profound. So let's look at the astrology of this all. So we start on the 16th of January, and note that if some days are skipped, it's just that nothing hugely important is happening on that day astrologically. So the 16th of January has the Sun conjunct Pluto, coming in strongly because we have Pluto here at our root, so it does affect us quite profoundly. This brings deep deep and intense emotions to the surface. We want to expand, to better ourselves, and we will not be satisfied for the easy way. We want the profound way. We want the intense way forward. We want the way that will really get us to what we want, not let us coast. There is also amazing willpower to be harnessed on this day that leads us to life-changing roads, that leads us on a life-changing journey. So that's going to be really quite profound. On the 17th of January, we have the full moon in Cancer. It's called the wolf moon. So that's going to be very powerful for us as well. On the 18th of January, we have Uranus going direct. Now, Uranus went into retrograde on the 19th of August. When Uranus goes into retrograde, it brings our inner changes. It brings us inner changes because of our outer changes, because of what's affecting us in our day-to-day life. So that's been an intense time for us, most definitely. Now we're going to see things start to settle down because Uranus goes direct, and we're like, oh, okay, I see the pathway that was carved, or I learned the lesson that was given to me during this time. The 23rd of January has the Sun conjunct Mercury retrograde. Now, with the Sun conjunct Mercury retrograde, this is a fantastic aspect for artists or people seeking to create a new way of life for themselves, seeking to really move themselves forward, go after what it is that they desire. Now because Mercury is in retrograde, we can also find that we have some frustrations around the concept of our ideas and bringing them to life. So that's going to be very important for us. Do not let this get you down. Do not let yourself, sit there and feel discouraged just because we're hitting a couple of roadblocks. We also have to note here that Cancer is our sister sign. So our sister sign is the sign that challenges us, that pushes all our buttons, or that can be our best friend in the whole entire world and build us up in a really profound way, just like a sister in real life. So just be aware of this at our root as well. On the 24th of January, we have Mars entering into Capricorn. Now, we like this because we are entering Mars, the warrior aspect, is entering into us, is entering into the calm, steady, can-do, practical, determined Capricorn. And we are going to thrive here. If there's anything we want to conquer, if there's anything we want to go after, this is the day to do it, and this is the time to do it. Here we have the warrior energy of Mars and the practicality of Capricorn, making almost anything possible. And this is going to be amplified for us. On the 26th of January, we have Neptune squared Lilith. Now, this is a very powerful alignment. Neptune, also known as the Lord of the Invisible Kingdom, has us looking at our dreams and our heart's desires, while Lilith has us looking at our darkest fears and our deepest doubts. And this is all going to be centered around our dreams. We can find this to be overwhelming, most definitely, because we don't want to see the fears around our dreams. We don't want to see ourselves, being held back for one reason or another. And yet we all have this. And so this is going to be a very empowering time if we sit there, if we listen to ourselves, not just to everybody else, but if we listen to ourselves. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, how do I need to move forward for me? What is it that I desire for me? Where is this game-changing time moving me forward? And as we look at our fears, as we look at what can be overwhelming for us, or we start to really listen to what our soul is saying we need to focus on, to be able to bring in that creative energy, to be able to calm our spirit, to be able to move ourselves forward, that's going to be a game changer. Now, on the 29th of January, we have a few things happening. First, we have the Sun sextile Chiron. This aspect shows us the wounds within our strengths, which isn't what anybody wants to see, but it's kind of like, this is my greatest strength, and this is the flaw within that strength. This is, if they hit it, where I will shatter. So just be mindful of this. This forces us to face what we might not want to, because, again, we don't want to feel powerless where we feel very powerful. But looking at our fears, looking at our weaknesses within our strengths is going to be very important for us. It's also going to help to make us stronger. It's going to help us make us, better, more defined, more focused. On the 29th of January, we have Mercury retrograde conjunct Pluto, again amplified because Pluto is here at our root. This makes us greatly intelligent and deeply curious. Because Mercury is in retrograde, we can find that we're all over the place in our curiosity and in our discoveries, but that's not necessarily going to be a bad thing, especially for the organized energy of Capricorn, where we can sit there and be like, okay, I might be all scattered all over the place, but now I have this knowledge to pull on when I need it. Now I know what it is that I really desire. I saw what I didn't want, and now I'm really seeing what I want. So it becomes very good for us. I know, Spirit keeps on saying here, the organized, practical Capricorn, and we can take that. I don't want anybody to take that as an insult. I don't think it is one at all, but I know we could want to say, oh, the carefree, the creative, the spontaneous, and yes, that's can all be the case within our personalities, but Capricorn is very grounded. It's very stable. It's very rooted, and that's where we want to be. We don't always want to be the person flitzing about like a butterfly, so this is very, very good for us to be able to see, to be able to harness, to be able to move forward with. On the 29th of January, we have Venus going direct. Now, this brings us out of the challenging retrograde period that we were in since the 19th of December, which brings challenges around our love. It brings a challenging love cycle. So there's something here where our heart was being tested, where what we love was being tested. And this has us looking at what we love and why we love it in a much more open, much more honest way. It's like the rose can be off the bloom, right? We can be seeing things for how they truly are instead of that falling in lust or that, fairy tale about what it might be. So that's going to be important for us. On the 30th of January, we have the Sun squared Uranus, and people find us a bit abrupt and provocative during this time. But here's the thing, we find other people very abrupt and provocative during this time. This is a time where we are astoundingly driven to do our own thing, to stand out, to be our own power, and that's going to be very important for us. Now, at our root here, we have the Chariot. This is our determination. This is our focus. This is the heart coming forward. And Capricorn, we can find it hard to let the heart move us forward, to bring the conscious and the subconscious together, or even know what that looks like. As we're saying, emotionally, I need to stand in my power. I need to stand in my understanding. I need to see myself more and more and more and go after what it is that I truly desire and where it is I truly need to be for me, not for anybody else, but for me. And so Cancer energy comes in here and says, let your heart lead. Listen to your emotional self. Sit in meditation, focusing on your throat chakra. If you have a singing bowl for the throat chakra, if I remember to, I'll put up a singing bowl with the throat chakra. This one is the third eye chakra, but I do have the heart chakra, the throat chakra here as well. So here, there is that energy of, sitting in our voice, sitting in our thoughts, sitting in our understanding, and being able to embrace our voice more and more and more, but coming from the heart as well from the practical nature of our world. And it brings us to the death card. It brings us to a dying away of the old self, a rebirth of the new. It brings us to a place of transformation. And as that place of transformation, ascension comes forward, we start to see ourselves more and more. We start to see what we're not. We start to see what drains us. We start to see, even in our past, we could be looking at things and be like, oh, wow, I really should have handled that better. Or, oh, wow, I really shouldn't have done that. But, things are said and done. They've shaped us for better or for worse. And now it is a time to say, this is my heart. This is what I want. This is the foundation of me. This is me. And I'm learning to love who I am, mistakes and all. I'm learning to see what I truly want and where it is that I truly want to be, with greater understanding, greater focus, and greater insight. The death card can be overwhelming for us because it's all about rebirth. And as we are being reborn into ourselves, into what we deeply want, into what is intrinsically important to us, it becomes a game-changing time. But it can also be a time where we mourn. We mourn what didn't happen. It makes me think of that song, Thanks for the Memories, that Bob Hope sings. And I forget what movie it's in, but it's a beautiful song. And there's a line in it, and he says, how are all those silly dreams that never did come true? It's like all the things that we thought that, could be accomplished easily or we thought would happen in a certain time frame that didn't happen. And it's not beating ourselves up over it. It's just saying, well, that wasn't part of my path. And that is so easy to say and so hard to do at the moment when we're saying it, at the moment when we're understanding it. That wasn't my part of my path at this time. This is me connecting with me more and more as I'm transforming, getting to know myself, getting to understand myself. And as we do this, we have the Queen of Cups. This is a water sign, again, coming forward. And the Queen of Cups is the most feminine of all the queens. It is the queen of love. It is the queen of compassion. It is the queen of fertility of the heart, of opening ourselves up, of saying, what is it that I need to plant? What is it that I need to water? What is it that I need to nurture in order for it to sustain within my life? In order for it to move forward in joy, in greater, connection, in deeper understanding of me and what I want. This is a time inwardly where we have to be kind to ourselves, but we also need to move forward with compassion, not only for us, but for the people around us. It's kind of like, live gently. So often we want to live boldly and proudly and like a conqueror. And that's cool. I mean, that's a way to live. But living gently, living quietly, living with, emotional connection and deep heart desire. That's a profound way to live. That isn't, built up enough. We tend to knock that down. No, living a quiet, gentle, loving life. That is profound. And that's what we're connecting with here. And it brings us to the Knight of Wands. Actually, that connection with our heart, that connection with what we emotionally want, that acknowledgement even of our anger and our frustration, and then saying, what, I can be angry. But it doesn't mean that I need to change it. It doesn't mean that I have any power over it. And then we start to connect with the warrior aspect of ourselves. We start to say, this is my passion. This is what I desire. This is what I'm going after. This is what I need. And this is what I definitely don't need anymore in my life. This is where I'm headed. This is what I want for me. This is what I'm going after. And it brings us to this place of focus. Now, it can make us a little bit hot-headed. We're going to need to learn how to balance this energy of passion and emotional, understanding, most definitely. And the Knight of Wands can make us charge forward as somebody who's underdeveloped, as somebody who is rather immature in their decisions and in what they're going after. So it's kind of like we can have this initial thought, like, that's what I'm going for. That's what I'm going to do. I'll show them type of mentality. And then we have to step back and say, okay, I see what I want to do there. I see where my anger is. I see where my frustration is. I get it. All right. How do I heal this? Can I heal this? Can I heal the rift between this person? Or is this like, how do I move forward with the powerful understanding of me? And it brings us then to our hearts, and our hearts are used to being at odds with each other. There's a bit of a war going on here, and we have to acknowledge it. It's kind of like either we have to acknowledge that we're always on the defensive, that it's been a tough road and an overwhelming, there we go, road, and we feel like, okay, I just have to fight. Is this something that's been blown out of proportion, something that was a little kind of spat that turned into a big battle? Is this people taking sides at work or at home, and we feel like we have to take sides as well, or also in the world? It's kind of like, why can't we just move forward in love and acceptance and say, this is where I stand, and I stand on the side of, of connection of the human heart. And that's going to be so important here, because it's going to be so easy to fall into battle. And what we're going to see is that we're actually becoming a student here of our voice and what we desire, but we're having a battle a bit with our heart and our mind coming together. It's kind of like coming to that understanding. That's why we have the sister sign, right, of Cancer coming forward, where it's all about the heart. It's all about the emotions. And we're going to say, well, what about the practicality? And no, we could argue, okay, why isn't our, minor arcana sign of the Pentacles here? Because it's not about what we're planting and what we're building and what we want, all right? Because we can see why that needs to be nurtured. But it's about our mind. It's about the deep insight of what we are seeing, where it is that we want to be. It's about the logic that we are embracing, and then also the emotions that we have along with that logic. There is a real sense here of, okay, I'm getting messages, I'm seeing things in a different way, I'm looking at things differently, because we're looking at things as a student, meaning we're looking at things not as, it's written in stone, it has to be just like this. It's kind of like, well, let's experiment that way, or let's ask that question, and why does it have to be like that, and let's break down that barrier, let's open up that wall, let's see where it takes us. And our heart can be saying, well, that's not safe, and our mind is saying, but if I don't try, I'll never know what will become. And that's going to be something that we're going to fight. There's going to be a bit of a battle where, okay, but I need to see what's on the other side. And we really do. We cannot be so afraid that we don't let ourselves explore what it is that we deeply want. And it brings us to the Nine of Pentacles. And the Nine of Pentacles here is comfort and accomplishment and prosperity and stability. And it is saying here, celebrate where you are right now. And we might not be where we want to be. Most definitely. For some of us, it's like, why would I celebrate? Why would I celebrate this? This is a conglomeration of my failures, or this is my fear, or this is my doubt. I don't know. I'm in a negative headspace right now. How can I celebrate this? It's like, if we learn how to celebrate where we stand, our present, and not berate ourselves for the bad things, but say, okay, this is what I'm celebrating. This is a job well done. We're going to see it really start to transform us, really start to guide us. Really start to say, okay, well, if I can celebrate this in the midst of, an absolute storm, then I can really celebrate when things are really good. And if things are really good, well, letting that celebration come forward builds up our energy vibration. Doesn't have us always looking towards the next thing and saying, well, now this is what I have to go after. Now this is how I have to do it. Now this is how it has to be. So it's going to be very important for us in the public arena, in our waking world, to celebrate ourselves. Not be planning always for the future, but taking peace in the present. And it brings us to the Ten of Swords. And the Ten of Swords is endings and final and closure. And then it repeats it, endings and final and closure. It's like, these are the endings. This is the darkness before the dawn. This is all the knowledge, all the accumulative, understanding that I have gotten through a decade, through, 10 years, 10 months, 10 weeks, 10 days of whatever I have been going through. And it has made me stronger. It has made me more insightful. It has made me more knowledgeable within myself. And now I take these swords that were the weapons that brought me to my knees, that brought me down, that laid me flat on the ground. And now it becomes the strength that guides me forward in my life, that pushes me to new extremes, that has me realizing I'm braver, I'm more than I ever thought I could be. And it's like, okay, so if I'm celebrating myself in the moment, if I'm saying, I'm present, I'm here, I'm not thinking, 5 steps ahead all the time, or I'm not always somewhere else thinking about the next project, with our families, with our work, with even ourselves. That's a tremendous place to be. We're now listening. We're now fully embracing our throat chakra. And that makes it so that we have all the doubts, all the fears coming forward. And we have ourselves standing in the power of our now, saying, I will not be brought down ever again. And it moves us to our subconscious energy to be mindful of, and it's the Prince of Pentacles. It's hidden truths around money. It's premature, actions and saying, okay, I'm going to do this before we have all the knowledge. So just be very mindful of this. And this is us in the minor arcana. So being connected and being mindful and not, just saying, okay, I'm just going to charge and do and not really think it through. That's going to be something that's very, very important for us. It moves us to our subconscious chakra energy. And this is inner strength. This is our solar plexus chakra. We're going to see a barrier opening. We're going to see a part of ourselves awakening, coming forward. And we are stronger. We are more powerful than we realize. And that's going to be a really nice thing to see. There's a part of us awakening. It moves us to our subconscious rooted energy, and it's the Magician. As above, so below. As we believe it, so it becomes. I know that is the most common thing to say when one sees the Magician. It's what every book says about it, right? But the Magician is our power. It's our magic. It's that spark of beauty. And the magician is able to look at the power within ourselves and say, I stand before me. I stand at the altar of my existence, claiming who I am, claiming what I want, being strong and confident within myself. And as I do so, I take my elemental gifts. I take what it is that I was born with. I look at what it is that I deeply desire. And I let the spark, the brilliance that is me, shine forward. And that becomes the game changer here. That becomes the powerhouse. Because we also have to remember that our minds rule so much of what we're able to do. You know, there are people that you look at and you're like, they're not talented, they're not this, they're not that. How did they get to be so successful? And it's because they believed. And it became. And here, it's like, just believe in ourselves. Because that's half the battle. It's the positive headspace. It is the talk that says, oh, yes, I can do it. Oh, of course I can move forward like this. And even after we've been burnt, even after we failed, even after we were overwhelmed, we're going to find ourselves standing in our strength, standing before our throne, our greatness, our altar, and not changing who we are just because it didn't work that one time, or just because things didn't go our way. It's like, I will not be defined by hurt and pain and disaster anymore. So be mindful of the words that we say to ourselves. It moves us to our subconscious inner self, and that is the emperor. So as much as we have to be mindful of the emperor inwardly, we need to claim our throne, claim our voice, and know our strength. Not being bullied by somebody else, not becoming a bully of ourselves, of course, but saying, this is what I want, this is what I'm going after, and this is my focus. This can be a time to, kind of make a plan for ourselves, be really organized, see the clutter, the chaos dying away because we're saying, I'm getting a handle on this. And even if it makes us feel overwhelmed, even if it starts, we can feel like our heart pounding in our head because our blood pressure rises, because it's so overwhelming for us to embrace what we want, to de-chaos our lives, to step out of the chaos. And the chaos wants to hold on to us because it keeps us down. It keeps us from where it is that we truly need to be within our lives. This becomes a game changer. When we claim our thrones, when we claim what we want, and we look at what we desire, this becomes a game-changing time. It moves us to our subconscious, emotional self. And this is the Queen of Cups once again. We're embracing our hearts. We're cloaked in the heart chakra. We're really embracing what we love, what we desire. Here at our heart, we're embracing the very essence of us. And we are saying, this is what I love. This is what I need. This is who I am. And it doesn't matter about the chaos of the world. This is what I desire from my life. It brings us to our subconscious, public arena self, and that is the Seven of Wands. Here it says challenges and courage. It'll take courage to face the challenges that we have ahead of us, yes, most definitely. But it also takes courage not to fight all the time, not to fall into the fight or flight aspect of our heart, and to say, this is what I need, this is what I want, and this is what I'm going after. The Seven of Wands tells us to be mindful, to stand confidently in our energy, in ourselves, but not to always be combative, always engage in one battle after another, because it will drain us, it will overwhelm us, and it will deplete us in the end. All right, Cancer. I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the power and the intensity of this time. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Capricorn.